Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:07 as we continue our morning news talk extravaganza. It's O'Connor and Company here on your favorite radio station, WMAL. Coming up at 6:35, Cal Thomas will be here. 7:05 brings us Cully Stimson of Heritage. And 7:35 is Dan Epstein of America First Legal. I'm Larry O'Connor, and that right there is Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Jules.
Good morning.
As we keep mentioning, Kamala Harris, 2 weeks before Election Day, needed a break. So she took the day off. I
know.
It's been so overwhelming for her. She needs a rest. A girl needs a rest now and again.
Spa day.
A spa day, exactly. So, again, we'll get into those details in a moment, and Trump's reaction to Kamala taking the day off here 2 weeks before Election Day. But that meant she had some surrogates out there. We already explained to you how Biden was up in New Hampshire, of all places, telling the crowd there that Donald Trump needs to be locked up. Then we had Doug Emhoff, I guess, conducting a spinning class down in North Carolina. And Bill Clinton in Las Vegas doing his own version of a spinning class, but we'll leave that to the
Larry.
imagination. Which leaves us Barack Obama in Wisconsin and in Michigan. And, first in Michigan, Eminem, Detroit icon. What?
I just had to take it's so interesting. Look at where Obama is, Wisconsin and Michigan. And they sent the sitting president to New Hampshire.
Hampshire, yeah.
There is just something so sad about that.
It is so patronizing to Joe Biden and just embarrassing. But yeah, you're right. Obama first gets introduced by Eminem, and then he takes the podium, and, acts kind of cool. There's this.
So I don't usually get nervous. But I was feeling some kind of way following Eminem. Now I notice my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on my sweater already, mom's spaghetti. I'm nervous, but on the surface I look calm and ready to drop bombs, but I keep on forgetting.
That's one of Eminem's famous songs called Lose Yourself.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody knew that. And I don't know if you could pick up on it, but that he sometimes does this, Barack Obama does, when he's in a comfortable sort of casual setting like that. You can hear his native Hawaiian accent come through. I don't know if you picked up on that. That's sort of like his pidgin Pacific Islander, because he grew up in Hawaii, right? And so
Right.
See, everybody makes fun of Kamala Harris for adopting, a fake accent when she's in front of an urban audience like Detroit. I think Obama deserves just as much ridicule. That Obama doesn't talk like that in any way whatsoever. But
no, he doesn't.
What are you gonna do?
They're all chameleons.
But then he said something that I think deserves a little bit of contemplation and reflection. Here's Barack Obama, the least self-aware man on the planet, apparently, lamenting about the divided political culture that we Americans are living through right now. Listen to this.
I don't understand how we got so toxic and just so divided and so bitter. And I get why sometimes people just don't want to pay attention to it. And we all have friends like that. We have family members who just like, it's all a circus out there. I get that.
So here's Barack Obama lamenting and wondering out loud, I don't know how we got so bitter and so divided in this country, but I want to help him out, okay?
Yeah.
Because, when you ask an open question like that, it deserves an answer. And when he went on to talk about how we all have friends and family in our life who are like that, it triggered a memory for me, Julie. And I just, yes. I did some vast research here, and I found the moment related to the friends and family in our lives that might, have different political opinions than us, that may actually be that moment that Barack Obama is wondering out loud about how we became so bitter and divided. Maybe he remembers, maybe you remember. Let's just walk down memory lane here.
I need you to go out and talk to your friends and talk to your neighbors I want you to talk to them whether they're independent or whether they are Republican. I want you to argue with them and get in their face. And
yeah, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm no expert here in politics analysis or communications, but that's Barack Obama encouraging everyone to get in their face, get in the face of your friends and your family and your neighbors and argue with them about politics. He was a community organizer. He didn't build anything. He didn't own anything. He didn't create anything. He never hired anyone. His entire career was community organizing, and community organizing in the Saul Alinsky book is all about agitating, getting in people's faces, creating arguments, pushing your agenda, making life uncomfortable for the people who don't agree with you until you win the day politically. This is the world we've been living under ever since Obama for America became organizing for America. Our nation has been politically organized by Obama troops since 2008, and we have never been the same. And he's the guy who created this atmosphere.
Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this sort of passive aggressive. How in the world did we get here? This is the man who said that Mitt Romney, a decent family man, a father of how many, wanted to put black people back in chains. Okay. This is the man who basically called all Americans racist in this country racist. Michelle Obama, who said, her husband running was the only time she's ever felt proud of this country. I mean, that is how the division started with Barack Obama, and it continues. We are still dealing with it today. So this idea of, I have no idea how we got here is so galling to listen to from that man.
It sure is, and he may think that we don't remember, but we do. And we won't forget. And let's not forget also that was the campaign where John McCain was the nominee for the Republicans.
Right. Yeah.
You mentioned Mitt Romney just now, and now I mentioned John McCain. And this is back when Republican voters would, in fact, nominate good, decent, patriotic men who would always take the high road. And they would always try to just focus on policy and not the politics of personal destruction, and not go after people, and not exercise divisive politics. And look what we have to show for it.
Yes.
Where did that get us? And by the way, and who did John McCain pick as a running mate? Sarah Palin. And I remember how kind Obama was to Sarah Palin in that campaign.
Right. And how kind even other Republicans were to Sarah Palin. I mean, that was an abandonment of much of that was an abandonment of Sarah Palin, blaming her for what happened.
Yeah, they need to understand that what they did to Mitt Romney, and I do think that's ground zero here, what they did to Mitt Romney in 2012 was the moment when Republicans said, okay, lesson learned. Learned. We are never walking down that pathway again. Every single time they lament Donald Trump's immersion in emerging, excuse me. I'm trying to say emerging, and it came out immersion. Every time they lament the fact that Donald Trump emerged in American politics and rose to the top and became our nominee and became our president, and they say, how did this happen? How did this happen?
It's right there.
They are how this happened.
Yes.
They are. And by the way, I don't lament it. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad that the cards are on the table and we are who we are.
I can't go into this too much, but when I put a Romney sign in my yard in Alexandria, Virginia, the abuse of Romney sign, the abuse I took, and when everyone talks about how it just got bad when Trump got on the scene, no. It was bad way before then, and it was the left. It was the left that made it that way. That is why we got Trump. I wanted someone who would fight back.
By the way, I mean, I did the research. I found that moment. I believe that is actually the beginning of the divide. But it did get exacerbated. I don't know if everyone remembers this moment either, but maybe they do.
To just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
Yeah, you name it. Absolutely. What exactly did Obama say yesterday again?
I don't understand how we got so toxic and just so divided and so bitter. And I get why sometimes people just don't want to pay attention to it.
Yeah, I get it too, Mr. President. I get it too. It's 6:17. Let's get straight to Jamie Wood. Well, our day yesterday began with a very, very bizarre turn of events. Again, 2 weeks before Election Day. And Kamala Harris's campaign announced a schedule change for the Democrat nominee. Here's how News Nation reported it to their audience.
Vice President Harris, on the other hand, she has a busy day planned in Washington. News Nation's Tom Dempsey is live at the White House for us. Tom, that seems kind of risky for her to be stepping off the campaign trail for the day. Who will voters be hearing from instead?
Hey, good morning, Marky. Yeah, it definitely seems a little strange. 2 weeks to go until Election Day, and Vice President Kamala Harris will be here in D.C. with no official campaign appearances on her schedule for today.
I do love the anchor says, "Oh, she's got a busy day in Washington," and the guy says, "Actually, absolutely nothing on her schedule all day." What in the? Imagine if you're a donor to the Harris campaign and you're really, you're all in, and you're like, "Oh, we have to save democracy." We're trying to save democracy, and you're taking a day off.
Literally Hitler. You're running against Hitler, and you're taking a day off? What is going on?
I mean, maybe they got the memo that the more she's out there and the more people see her, the worse she does. Maybe it's like one of the campaign advisors says, the polls have been dropping. We've got an idea. Get Obama out there, get Clinton out there, get Biden out there. You just take the day off, and let's see if that makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, simmer down, lady.
Shouldn't I just go out there and tell jokes and laugh at my jokes? Won't that help? No.
I mean, you think back on that panel, with
Liz Cheney.
Yeah, when the panel of women whose husbands cheated on them with the nanny, Maria Shriver.
That would be Maria Shriver.
And Kamala. And you think about the campaign meeting after that, where they said, "Look, we got to get her off the stage. She's ODing on cringe. We cannot. This is so bad, and we need to give everyone a break because she just turned everyone off on that panel."
That might be it. They might also be working on brand new talking. It's like every 5 days they have a different attack that they try to throw against the wall to see if it sticks, and it hasn't. 5 days ago it was Trump is exhausted and his mental fitness is in question.
That's exactly right. Don't forget, everyone at the same time they're saying Trump is tired, Trump is exhausted, and then she takes the day off to sleep in?
In fact, Trump noted that he was at a forum of Latinos for Trump in Miami yesterday, including our pal Mercedes Schlapp, because she is, in fact, a Latina, or is it Latinx, for Trump. And Trump pointed this out. Here's cut 5. Listen.
I was going to hit her really hard on the trail today, but now I don't have to because she's off. She's off. No, I can't get over it. Who the hell takes off? We have 14 days left, and she'll take a couple of more days off, too. You know why? She's lazy as hell, and she's got that reputation. She's a radical left lunatic. She's further left than Bernie Sanders or Pocahontas.
By the way, I don't know if you saw much of it. He just sat without notes and without a script, and was absolutely hilarious, actually, yesterday. Lazy as hell is fantastic, and it's true. Meanwhile, Tim Walz is up in Wisconsin, and while Kamala Harris is taking a day off from the campaign trail, he had this to say about Donald Trump.
It takes stamina to run for president. It takes stamina to be president. And Donald Trump does not have stamina.
What? Your candidate is literally having a spa day in D.C.
Right.
14 days from Election Day.
The nerve. I mean, the absolute nerve of these people. The reality never is a factor with these folks.
No.
They just
who's going to call
lie. And again, it is projection. It's classic projection. They accuse Trump of that which they are guilty. And this is another example of that. Tim Walz going up there and saying that Trump's not able to handle handle it sort of physically, mentally, and Kamala's taking a spa day. It's just remarkable.
Yeah.
How they do that. And to some degree, some Democrats buy it.
That said, I have to say, objectively speaking, I'm going to tell you like it is and how I see it. I do believe yesterday was probably the best day of the last month for Kamala Harris on the campaign trail because she wasn't on the campaign trail until last night when she did do one thing. She sat for a one-on-one interview for NBC News. Apparently this is something that she prepped for all day. That's
all
why
day.
Partly she took the day off. And when that interview happened, well, that sort of ruined her perfect day, and we're going to play you much of that coming up in a moment. It's 6:20.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Moving through this Wednesday morning at lightning speed. Thanks for tuning into O'Connor and Company. Coming up at 7:05, Cully Stimson from Heritage, and then at 7:35, Dan Epstein from America First Legal. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. And Julie, forgive me for just hitting the accelerator, but we got to get to Cal Thomas. It's go time. We're 2 weeks away. And unlike Kamala Harris, who took a day off from the campaign trail yesterday, because, Cal, campaigning is exhausting. A girl needs her rest. You are not taking any breaks. What do you make of where we stand right now?
Well, I think it's a big mistake. But, of course, her handlers, who she doesn't do anything without them, have told her that what she's been doing isn't working. Look what she did in Wisconsin. First, she dissed the Al Smith dinner, which every presidential candidate has gone to since, with the exception of Mulder Mondale. But then she does a pro-abortion speech in Wisconsin, which is a double hit against people of faith and especially the Catholic Church. How much more insensitive can you be? Oh, I know. It was when Hillary Clinton addressed a Hispanic group in 2016 and said she'd be happy with a taco stand on every corner.
Man, that is quite a laundry list of hits and misses there, Cal.
Yeah.
Well, and also you could add to the mix one of her top surrogates, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, making fun of the Holy Eucharist with a Dorito. There really is sort of this bizarre, unforced error culture over there in the Harris campaign. And I don't take anything for granted, but if you're the Trump campaign right now, you're a lot more confident than they are, I would think.
Absolutely. That whole McDonald's stunt, and of course it was a stunt. There are always stunts in politics. But that and his visit to the barbershop were terrific optics for him. He puts on an apron. He talks to real people. He answers their questions. He looks like one of them. And that counts for a lot of certainly middle class and the few undecided voters who remain. The polls show that she's slipping. The Real Clear Politics polls show that while it's still in some states within the margin of error, the momentum is on Trump's side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she really seems to have a problem specifically with Catholics, though. There was that rally where someone, yelled out, "Christ is King," and she says, "Oh, you're at the wrong rally." I think you wrote about that. It's very hard for her to sort of keep a lid on her anti-Christian, anti-Catholic thoughts, isn't it?
Yes, well, these are secular progressives, and while once in a while they may drop a religious line, and Trump is like that too. But the point is, with Trump, at least you get the policies. You got the Supreme Court. You got a lot of things that Catholics and other people of other faiths approve of. But with the Harris and Walz campaign, you've got tampons in boys' restrooms. You've got no protection for babies who survive abortions. You've got tire taxes and more spending and the rest. So this is the secular progressive versus the go to church on Sunday instead of staying in bed with somebody else's wife crowd.
Yeah.
So, as you put it so succinctly in your column on Monday, because everyone says, Cal, he's going after the Jewish vote, he's going after the Catholic vote, going after the black vote. Is it possible that the strategy here is to go after the anti-Catholic vote? Is that, that's the only explanation?
Yeah, I think so. And if you look at some of the numbers, you mentioned the black vote. The number of young black men under 50 is going for Trump in greater numbers than the last time, or in 2016. And I think there's a trend here. I think people are waking up, especially younger Catholics. Parents and grandparents. People used to have a picture of the Pope and John Kennedy on the wall when Kennedy was president, right? But that was the older generation. Younger people are now taking a look at this. Younger black people, younger Hispanic people, and say, look, all those promises and all of those things made to my parents and grandparents didn't work out so well. I'm going to be independent and vote my own values.
Yeah. I'd love for you to sort of spend a little bit more time on this McDonald's photo op, because you're right. Obviously, it's a stunt. And I sort of was really amused at all of the journalists and analysts saying, Trump didn't really work at a McDonald's. Like, yes, thank you. Thanks for that.
Yeah. That was funny.
But listen, you've seen many campaigns, and you know that candidates try to do this sort of thing, and what they're hoping to get is what's called earned media, right? Where they don't have to spend a penny for it, but it ends up getting legs and gets play over and over again. Cal, they are still running the B-roll of him as a fry cook or working the drive-through window. Even the people who are complaining about it, they're still running this B-roll that make him look great.
Yes, and he did look great. And here's the thing. Most people, not Trump, and he admits it, that he started out with an advantage of light. But a lot of people, me included, maybe you too, started out at entry-level jobs just to get in the door. We took minimum wage because
Little Caesars Pizza for me.
Right, exactly. Well, WINX in Rockville, Maryland for me, but that's another issue.
Cool.
Spinning records, yeah. But we just to get in the door, and I worked as a copy boy at NBC. I kept my pay stubs. I'd be considered poor and a candidate for food stamps now if I was making that kind of money. But that helped people identify with Trump, because most people started out in life with their first job, working at McDonald's, working at some low wage job, and that was a great way to identify. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is out in L.A. Hanging out with celebrities. Who identifies with that?
Always
Not
great
me.
to spend some time with Cal Cool Cat Thomas, spinning the hits here on WMAL every Wednesday morning for your listening
That's
pleasure.
right. Brought to you
cool
by
and
Dark
groovy,
Drug. Remember them? Yeah, remember Dark Drug?
No,
you
not
don't
even
remember.
close.
Okay.
No, I can't remember. Were you drinking a sarsaparilla while you were on the air?
No, it was actually it was a Pepsi machine, which we had to change along with cleaning the bathrooms before we left the DJ job.
Well, what do you think Julie does around here during breaks?
Oh, well, yeah. She cleans up for you all the time.
That is absolutely the true fact. Thanks, Cal.
Aw.
Take care.
Thanks, Cal.
6:43. Let's
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 till 9 p.m.
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
we haven't spent a lot of time on this person this election, Julie, because, she really doesn't make that big of a difference in terms of how people are voting. But she sort of is freaky and awkward and bizarre, and so therefore we must spend a little time. And, of course, I'm referring
Perfect
to...
for this election cycle.
Yes, the wife of Tim Walz. This would be Gwen Walz.
She's weird.
She has had a few very strange moments on the campaign trail when they put her out there. And usually she's doing something she's a school teacher, right? So she does something at a library or some sort of community center. And there seem to be like 30 people in the room, and that's it. It's just weird.
Yeah, she's always doing things in a very teacherish way. Like, I have some homework for you. Okay, let's turn the page. Do it with me. Let's turn the page. Like, we're all kindergartners sitting on the carpet, right? Yeah.
She wears her reading glasses down on her nose, and it's like she's cosplaying as some sort of old kindergarten teacher and talking to us as we're her students. Here's a little bit of it, cut 9 here. One of creepy Gwen Walz's lectures to her little elementary school children, us voters.
Hey, Kamala HQ. I'm Gwen Walz, and I have been an educator for a really long time, and I'm here with an assignment for you today. It's due on November 5th. Now I'm going to put my teacher classes on because this is really serious.
No, I can't. Enough. Okay, let's move on.
God.
That was a TikTok video she did. Here she is at a campaign event with a tiny little crowd. Cut 10. Here, watch.
We are turning the page. Did you see her do that? Yeah. Can you do it with me? We are turning the page on Donald Trump. Yep. We are turning the page on Project 2025.
It's just,
Can you
I
do
guess
it
that
with
works
me?
with some people. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like one of those elderly aerobic classes. Do it with me. Lift your leg.
When did we get into this thing where the spouse of the running mate is out there campaigning on their own? It's like, isn't she most effective just campaigning with Tim Walz? Does she know Tim? Have they ever met? Do they? I know there's whenever they are together, it's very awkward, and I know that there's some mystery about how he actually ultimately impregnated her. I think he's not even sure.
Ultimately, why everyone believed the IVF lie, because
So anyway, apparently the cringe creep factor from Gwen Walz has even registered with the campaign apparatus for Harris Walz for president, because she was scheduled to go to Maine. Again, Maine? Maine? Why are they wasting time in Maine?
Maybe she was having lunch with Biden.
Across the border there?
Yeah.
A trip to Maine by Gwen Walz has been canceled. And the Harris Walz campaign didn't give a reason.
Right.
Gwen Walz, of course, is the First Lady of Minnesota. She was scheduled to speak yesterday about abortion, of course, in Maine. She visited Portland and Bangor last month. And she was due to go back, and they decided to pull the plug on her. So
yeah, they're not really saying why. Maybe she needed her roots touched up like Kamala yesterday. You never know.
Oh, look at
it's another
you! Now,
spa
see,
day.
If I said
Spa
something like
day.
that, it would be just sexist and catty, and thank God you're here to say it for me. They did put out one other video of her with actress Jennifer Garner. That would be the woman that Ben Affleck cheated on to go with J-Lo, and now they're splitting up as well. Really great, healthy marriages. Here's Jennifer Garner with Gwen Walz.
Hi, I'm Jen Garner.
And I'm Gwen Walz. I'm co-starring Gwen Walz.
It's the Jen and Gwen. Woo!
Yeah. They sound exactly alike.
They really do, and it's just I feel stupider for having to listen to that, and I would now like to formally apologize to the entire O'Connor and Company audience and extended family, and really anyone involved in the medium of radio. I don't know why we just did that to you. It is 6:50.